If you'd like to support this channel, we invite you to check us out on Patreon. Thank you so much. Hey, what's up guys? Man, it feels like forever since we've been out here in the lawn. Last week we had a huge snowstorm hit Texas and it knocked out the power for quite a while and we lost heat and it was quite an adventure. And so this week we're finally back to normal, thank goodness. And things are starting to warm up again, and there have been signs that spring is coming early, and even more so now this week that things have started to warm up. So I need to get out there and spray out the perennial ryegrass overseed. We did on the Bermuda out front, and I'm actually about 2 weeks behind doing that because there was some cold weather leading up to the snow that we received, and so I decided to wait on that to pass. And so I need to get out there and get it done because our Bermuda is still dormant right now, but it's going to start making that transition here pretty quickly to come back out of dormancy. And so I want to get all that sprayed out, that way we can do our scalps here in the spring and get how to cut down where it needs to be for the spring and through the summer season. And so today I'm going to walk you guys through how I mix this up and how we spray out that perennial rye overseed. All right guys, so the product we're going to be using this week is MSM Turf. You've heard me use this before, and this stuff's really good at getting perennial ryegrass and cool season grasses out of your Bermuda. And it's not quite as effective on Poania. There's another product called Negate 37WG. That one works a lot better on Poania that I think, because the ingredients are similar, but it's got a little bit more of some active ingredient in it that really targets that Poania. So if you have an issue with that, you might look at that Negate 37WG. But for today, we're going to do MSM Turf. And so MSM Turf, this stuff is really small. You can kind of see there's just these little prills that it really just doesn't take much. We're talking about grams, and so the weight of a paper clip, very small amounts of this stuff. And when I say small amounts, if you look at the label, whenever you're targeting ryegrass for fairways, it says use 0.33 ounces to 0.5 ounces per acre. Okay, so that's a key piece, per acre. So it's a very, very small amount when we're talking about how much we're going to use to target per 1,000 square foot. And so they send you this measuring cup, and it's broken down into ounces of weight. And so this first line right here is 0.1 ounce. And whenever you look at the math on the label, and so for me, I've got 2,700 square feet out front. And so what I did to make this easy is the label says you use 0.33 ounces to 0.5 ounces per acre. So if you do the math on 0.33 ounces and you divide that by 43,560 square feet, that's how much is in an acre. That gives you a number, and then multiply that times, in my case, 2,700 square feet, gives me 0.02 ounces. And then if I take the high end amount, which is 0.5 ounces per acre, you break that down, divide it by 43,560 square feet, gives you a number, multiply that out by my 2,700 square feet, gives you 0.03. So I have a range that I can use between 0.02 and 0.03 ounces. And so to make this simple, in my case, this line here, like I said, is 0.1 ounce. So if I divide that into quarters visually, okay, because again, this material is little prills, and so if I break that into a visual amount, if I break that into quarters, that's going to be 0.025 ounces. It will be each quarter, 0.025, 0.05, 0.075, and then 0.1. So 0.025 falls within my range of my 2,700 square feet. So I need a quarter of this product. I just need a quarter amount of 0.1 ounces to cover my 2,700 square feet. So that's how you can kind of do the math there and break things down into simple visual measurements you can see here. Because this stuff is so tiny that grams, even on a scale, it's kind of hard to pick up at that low amount. So you got to be more visual with this product. But that's how I went about it, is I just found out what my range is, okay, based on the label. I've got 0.02 to 0.03, and common sense told me if I break that into quarters, I get 0.025, so that's a safe place to be, because on the low side, I know that I'm gonna have some wasted product whenever I wash out the tank, and I can lean toward the high side and still be okay, but I don't necessarily need to go full rate today. So 0.025 is a safe spot for me to be within this range to cover my 2,700 square feet. All right, so I've got my 0.025. You can see it's just a very small amount inside of that, and I tend to err on the side of less is more with this product, because you definitely don't want to burn your Bermuda. That's not what we want to do, especially here in Texas. The Texas heat will help kill off some of that ryegrass later anyway, so to me it's not 100% essential to burn out all the ryegrass. I mean, of course we want to do that, but I don't want to do it at the cost of damaging my Bermuda. So I'm going to err on the side of less is more with this. It really is just a fine amount. It's just a paper clip worth of weight. It's really nothing. And so one thing I want to explain to you is, don't make the mistake of taking this product and just dumping it into your tank, whether it's a hand pump tank or a backpack sprayer or something like what I have, or even larger, because what will happen is, and I've done it, is you pour that into your tank and it just streaks everywhere. And when it does that, you don't get the full use of the product. It's just stuck to your tank. You really can't get it off, you know, and so it just kind of makes a big mess. So if you pay attention to the directions, it says to make a slurry. So what that is, you just put some water in the measuring cup like this, and then you're just going to take your product and just dump it in here, and you're going to just stir it up. Stir it up real good, nice and slow. And what that'll do is start to dissolve that product down. That way, whenever you pour it into your tank, it's already broke down. It won't streak on your tanks, and it'll make the agitation process go a whole lot smoother for you. So just spend a little time just getting that all mixed up. Make sure it's broke down real good, and then pour it into your tank. And before you pour it into your tank, make sure you've got, you know, they always say before you mix up chemicals, make sure you got 50% of the amount of water that you need in your tank. And so what I do for my 2,700 square feet is I use 8 gallons of water, and I know it's excessive, but I do that for 2 reasons. And it's because I have a little bit of a slope, and so I need to make sure I get one really good pass before the water in the tank starts to shift, and I don't get as good of a suction off the bottom. And so I make sure I get one good pass, you know, throughout the yard. And that's why you guys have often seen me spray it twice. And it's not that I'm double spraying the product. I'm using the products to the amount that they're supposed to be used. It's just I'm using more water than, you know, quote unquote necessary for that product to be sprayed. It's just so I get even coverage and I can hit the yard twice. And it just also gives me some satisfaction knowing that I've got plenty of water. I'm not running the risk of burning anything. And you can use as little as 2 gallons. I've found in the past with a hand pump sprayer, if I use 2 gallons per 1,000 square feet, even that was perfectly okay. So I realize, like I said, 8 gallons is excessive in my case, but it works because of my walk speed, it works because of my tank, and it all just comes down to knowing your spray equipment and knowing how much water you need, how long it takes for that stuff to be sprayed out. And so that's why I do that. So when you see me spray it twice, you're gonna know why. All right, so I've got this all stirred up. So I'm gonna start the agitation on the pump and go ahead and pour this in here and let it start to circulate all this and get it ready. And so this is a really good example of what will happen if you don't get it all broke down inside of your tank. See how it streaks down that side? It sticks. So that's what you don't want to happen inside your tank. So I'm going to put a little more water in this, stir it up some more, and get the rest of it put in the tank. Alright guys, so I'm going to let that continue to agitate, and if you pay attention to the label and you continue reading, there's a section that talks about use of surfactants to enhance the effectiveness of this MSM product. And there's a line in there that says that you can use surfactants at a quarter of the rate that you normally would. So typically on this surfactant with herbicides, you would mix 1 to 2 teaspoons per gallon. I'm going to stick to the 1 teaspoon per gallon side, and like I mentioned before, I'm gonna mix 8 gallons. So a quarter rate of that is gonna be 2 gallons. And so I need 2 teaspoonfuls of surfactant to go into this mix. And that'll just help make sure that this product sticks, kills that perennial rye, especially since I'm kind of on a tight time crunch here. I want to knock it out quickly. And so we're gonna go ahead and use the surfactant to help it stick to the plant and get this process started. So something you guys haven't seen me use in the past is some blue turf mark, but I'm going to use that today because, like I said, you want to make sure you don't overspray this product and create any hot spots, because it will burn your Bermuda if you do that. And so I'm going to use this today as a guide, and I usually don't go with the full rate of this because I can see where I'm going, and especially with everything being dormant, you can really see the blue, so it's really not necessary to overuse this marker. And so I can use fluid ounce per gallon, so I usually do half that rate. So I'm going to use 4 ounces of this stuff and mix it in here, and that'll just help us see where we're going, especially since I said we're going to spray it twice. Just don't want to create any hot spots so we can really see what we're doing. And it's a good idea to wear gloves with this stuff, because this stuff will mark you up for a week. It does not come off very easy, no matter how hard you try. All right, so now we got everything mixed in here. We're gonna go ahead and add the rest of our water to get us to 8 gallons. And so this is how we ended up this year. To me, it just wasn't the best overseed that I've had in years past. This year, the seed showed up about 3 weeks late due to the pandemic. Some of the shipping was still messed up there at the end of the year. And so it just didn't have as much time to root and seed to germinate as well as it has in years past. So you can see there's quite a bit of the dormant Bermuda starting to show through. So that's why we need to get rid of this ryegrass, so that way the Bermuda can start to take over here pretty soon. So guys, that's going to do it for spraying out that perennial ryegrass. Just make sure that you wash your tanks really, really well. The label says to wash your tanks out 5 times, and you better believe it. Just make sure you get all that washed out, get all the blue marker out, the surfactant, all those kinds of things. And one really key thing is make sure you wash your tires on your equipment, because I'm going to be using that to spray fertilizer and other products here on the bent grass, and that MSM will damage your turf. So it'll knock out that cool season grass as well. So make sure you get everything washed off. Pay attention to your shoes, wash those off as well. You don't want to be walking around out here on your cool season turf if that's something you have, because it can damage it. So just be mindful of that. And some tips I'd like to give you guys about spraying that product is, if you have leaves or limbs or something all over your lawn, go ahead and pick those up first, blow them off. Because if you spray all this material out and it lands on those leaves, it's actually kind of a waste. It's not going to get on your grass, especially since we put that surfactant in there. Even if you turn the sprinklers on, or if it rains or whatever, it's not going to wash off onto your grass. It's going to stick to that leaf, and when you come through and mow or clean up or whatever you do, all that MSM is just going to go away with it. So be mindful of that. I probably should have blown mine off a little more than I did. But it's really not that bad, and it'll be okay. And another thing is, just as a courtesy, spray a little extra product over into your neighbor's lawn, just to make sure you get rid of that ryegrass for them, because it's not something they wanted in their yard, and they may not know how to get rid of that stuff. So if they have a Bermuda grass or warm season turf that that's what they have, and you feel good about it, go ahead and spray some extra in there. Both of my neighbors have Celebration Bermuda just like I do, so I know that I'm safe there. And especially my neighbor next door, he does a really great job keeping his yard real nice and clean like we like to do. And so I like to just spray a little extra onto his just to make sure it knocks out that ryegrass for him. And you know, if that's something you're not comfortable with, or you're unsure what kind of grass type they have, then don't do it, because you could really run the risk of damaging someone else's lawn, and you really don't want to do that. And especially if you're next door to somebody that has a cool season lawn, take extra caution to leave a buffer there, and don't let overspray get onto their lawn, because it can damage it. So just be mindful of your neighbors, mindful of things around you, and just pay attention to what you're spraying that stuff on, and take care of your neighbors if you can. And so I'm getting really excited about spring coming. It's coming early for us, and I'm just excited about this season. I think it's going to be a really great year, and I'm just looking forward to just getting back out here and doing the things that we enjoy. And so, you know, you guys up north, I know you're under snow still, but I promise spring's coming. It's coming early. And so if you haven't already, start thinking about your lawn plans, start getting those pre-emergents out. You guys up north, when that snow starts to go away, get your pre-emergents out there, and you guys will be in good shape. And so we're going to go ahead and start working our way to bring that Bermuda back. It's getting real close to be time, so we'll be doing some scalps and things here pretty soon to get rid of that ryegrass and get our Bermuda ready for the season. And so if you guys haven't already subscribed to our channel, I want to encourage you guys to do that. I know there's about 70% of you guys watching these videos that haven't subscribed yet, and I'm just sitting here like, what are you waiting for? You know, we're going to keep bringing good content to you, and there's going to be a lot of good stuff here in the spring and through the summer season. So go ahead and subscribe, like these videos. It really helps us out. And guys, if you're interested at all in helping support this channel, I just want to encourage you to check us out on Patreon. I'd love to have you as part of our team. If you want some extra personalized coaching or things like that, ways that I can help you, come check us out over there, and I'd be happy to have you alongside everything that we do. And so guys, I hope you guys have a really great week. I really hope you're excited about spring coming, and I just hope that everybody's well, and I just hope that this is going to be a great year for everybody. And so I think that's going to do it for this one, guys. We'll see you in the next one.